Good.
Yep, go ahead.
We're good.
Okay, super. Let's call the meeting to order. This is the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency, May 13, 2024. Could I have a roll call of the board members, please?
Sure, just a second. Lindsay's going back here. You want me to just do it? Oh, you got it. Rhonda Mitchell.
Here?
Steve Meyer,
Here.
Colin Meehan,
Here.
Randy McIntyre,
Here.
Michael Thayer,
Here.
Matt Roeder,
Here.
Joy Richards. Here.
Great. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Matt, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda? None. Call for conflicts of interest. Hearing none. Do we have any visitors or public comments today?
We do have several visitors. I don't know if any of them want to speak. Okay, we have somebody who's coming up.
I'll go after him.
Okay, we have a couple. Yeah, go to the podium, please.
Hi, my name is Bill Breezy. I live at 12201 North Strayhorn, and I'm just here to mention that, you know, at the Hayden City Council meeting that was expanding the HURA boundaries, Scott Purcell got up and he spent a lot of time talking about how expanding the HURA boundaries was going to give us money to improve the intersections. And I just want to remind the council or the commission that because a lot of us thought that that's what we're supposed to do, and it looks like right now there's only Honeysuckle and Hayden that's on the list for improvement. So thank you.
Thank you.
There's somebody else coming.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Hi, Cal Freitas. I'm a Hayden resident. I just wanted to say that I think that traffic is an important concern for HURA to focus its efforts on. I think those intersections are a great opportunity to improve some real problems that came up in the citizen survey that was done last year. And yeah, I think that's one of the best places we can focus that money. Like, I personally am not interested in, you know, adding parks or some of those things. I understand if other citizens have other opinions, but you know, I definitely want to focus on issues that are being brought up by citizens and things that will just help Hayden meet its obligations for maintaining and improving our infrastructure over the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else, Melissa?
I don't see anybody that's jumping up, so no.
Okay, thank you. All right, to the consent calendar. Do I hear a motion?
I motion that we approve the consent calendar as stated 1 through 3.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call vote.
Rhonda Mitchell,
Yes?
Steve Meyer,
Yes.
Colin Meehan,
Yes.
Randy McIntyre,
Yes.
Michael Thayer,
Yes.
Matt Roeder,
Yes.
Joy Richards.
Yes.
Great, moving on. Continuing business. Looks like we have a lease that we need to put into action on 58 Orchard. Melissa?
Yes, so the lease is in your packet, and since Friday, I actually received the signed copy that our property management company was able to get signed by the tenants. So really the only thing I need today is authorization to have Randy, as the vice chairman, sign that lease. So we should be kind of over the hump on that item now.
Melissa, was that the same rate that they were previously paying?
Yep. Yes. Oh, I think she might have
Is it
frozen.
the same lease document, same lease form?
It's the same exact thing that you guys reviewed a month ago, but it's a different property management company. And if you remember, our lease with the tenants had been expired for quite a while. So now that we have a new property management company, we got a new lease. And we talked all about the terms and that kind of stuff. Several times before, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I move to approve the lease.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I just have a question.
Okay, let's, oh, go ahead, Matt, I'm sorry.
I just have a question on item number 11, the maintenance, repair, or alterations. It says the tenant acknowledges that the premises are in good order and repair unless otherwise indicated herein. So there isn't any indication from the tenant that there are any issues at this point, is that true?
Yeah, correct. They haven't noted anything. We, as you know, are working on some what we consider to be life safety items, but other than that, they didn't note anything in the lease.
Are they aware of those items?
Yes, because the property management company has been working with them on it. To my knowledge, nothing's been done yet, but they're working on gaining access and getting in there and stuff.
Yeah, my concern is that they acknowledge that there are things that exist and that we are working on and they accept that. That's what I want to make sure of it, so that we don't all of a sudden, oh no, we got a problem here and who's going to fix it? So we're starting out from a good point here.
Right.
Thank you.
Rhonda, let me add to that, Matt, that when Colin and I went through the house, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be fixed that are not, for example, not necessarily life safety. There's one of the water faucets which does not turn off. So unless you turn it off at the wall, the cold water runs continuously because the valve is failed. There are a number of places where simple maintenance needs to be done, which has not been done by the tenant. That ought to be fixed. So the statement that we're working on life safety issues, like some electrical stuff that we saw, is absolutely important, I think. But I would not stop at that. In the meeting when Colin and I reported our visit, we had a list, which I don't remember off the top of my head, of stuff that needs to be fixed if we're just going to be responsible landlords.
Correct, Steve, you're correct. So I gave them that prioritized list with the maximum $5,000 I think that you had given me, and they're planning on working towards that prioritized list, and the faucet is on there. 2 leaking faucets, one in the basement and one upstairs.
So when you say the
Yes,
property management company is
Yep,
going
so the property management company has their own maintenance staff. Yep.
And what was the term of your assignment to them? You said
I gave them that list that
Yes.
we'd made out of, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's those items that there were some light fixtures that were dangling, there were some faucets that didn't turn off,
Something with a hot water heater.
the hot water tank was leaking, those items, and just said that they needed to coordinate with me on it, but they weren't going to go get quotes and stuff because they have their own maintenance company as a part of
she
the.
mentioned $500.
5,000.
It was like a maximum of 5,000. Yeah.
We empowered as a board
Yeah.
for Melissa to just take care of it up.
And that's
Overruns,
so,
then we gotta
so
talk
as
about
we
it.
approve this lease, even though the tenant doesn't take any exceptions here, they should have. But the tenant was so eager to have us continue the lease because the place has got like 5 bedrooms and there's a lot of people living there.
Correct.
So I can see why she didn't want to rock the boat, but that's a good solution.
Okay.
So as
Yep.
we approve this, we're going to fix what needs to be fixed. That's great.
It's like we already approved the list of items and the money to fix them last time.
Okay, any other discussion? Do we have a roll call vote on the approval of the lease?
Rhonda Mitchell,
Yes.
Steve Meyer,
Yes.
Colin Meehan,
Yes.
Randy McIntyre,
Yes.
Michael Thayer,
Yes.
Matt Roder,
Yes.
Joy Richards.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Melissa, next on our agenda is the City of Hayden agreement for the Ramsey Road funding.
Right, and this was a discussion at our last meeting, if you remember, and so after that, we wrote the agreement. And so there were a few things that we needed to happen to be okay with this agreement, the HURA board, and that was that City Council agreed to use some of their ARPA funds for the project, and they agreed to do that. And they also had to be okay with us reducing the maximum that we would allow for the Crawford Park and the Ramsey Road sewer project. So now Amanda's here, but she and I are tracking those projects in a different way. If you noticed in the spreadsheet that we had that was in the consent calendar, I kind of highlighted those numbers and said that these were the maximums that were in the agreement, but we're tracking them so that we come in $471,000 less. So that's all. I just wanted you to know that that's all part of this agreement. It's all pretty clear in here. It's gone through Pete and the city's attorney, and City Council already approved the agreement. So the one that we're going to give Randy to sign has already been signed by council.
So question, Melissa, when do we have to allocate the funds to the city for them to send to the state?
At our next meeting. So I confirmed that they don't need them before our next meeting, which is the June 10th. But they will need to send it right after that. Right after our next meeting.
Okay.
Yep. If you remember, this is different than our normal agreements with the city because it's not a reimbursement agreement. Usually they pay and then HURA reimburses, but that doesn't work with the funding type with LTAC. They need the money in hand before they'll even bid the project. So that's why we had to kind of think of how to finagle this a little bit.
So with my banker hat, when the funds go to the state, or do we put it into an account where the funds can earn some interest?
The funds go to the state. So,
So
correct.
we don't have control of it, okay.
Yep.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question, and so the amount of money that we'll be sending to the state, is that the shortfall amount of 1.76 million?
Yes. Yes. And that's why we have to track these other projects so that they come in under, because that amount was inclusive of the savings that they were anticipating on the other two projects. Yeah, we wrote this part, it's on the second page, 2C, that talks about updates that they need to give the HURA board so that you understand how much we can expect to get reimbursed if they don't end up using it all. So they have to give you, but by June of 2025, they have to inform you so that you can account for it in your budget process for the next fiscal year.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
I have another question, please, for Melissa. Looking at total cash in bank as of March 6, 2024, 5 million and change. And does that 5 million and change before we purchased the Owl Café? Or after?
I
don't remember
believe
the
that
timing.
it's after.
After.
I think that that's after, because we closed on March 15th.
After.
So the amount that we have after we purchased the Owl Cafe is about 900,000 less than that 5 million.
No, I think that we
No.
have about 5 million.
I think if you.
Yeah, we have the 5 million in that board report is after we purchased the Owl Cafe. Those funding for the Owl were taken out.
But you said the 15th of March, it was, and this is dated March 6th.
Okay, we'll have to look at it.
The
We,
entire month of March.
it is the entire month of
It
March,
should-
yeah.
The bank statement should go through March 31st.
Okay, the bank statement goes through the end of the month, is what
Okay, so it's
Amanda's
not
saying.
March 6th is that date of that balance?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I need.
Yeah, Amanda and I did check that to see what our sum was after that, and I remember it being 5 million.
Okay, so March 6th threw me off, sorry. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the participation agreement with the city of Hayden for the Ramsey Road construction project.
I'll second it.
Then seconded. Any additional questions or discussion? Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Rhonda Mitchell,
Yes.
Steve Meyer,
Yes.
Colin Meehan,
Yes.
Randy McIntyre,
Yes.
Michael Thayer,
Yes.
Matt Roder,
Yes.
Joy Richards.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, next. Go back to my agenda here. We are going to talk about new business, the next steps for the Owl Cafe.
Yeah, so I put quite a bit of this in my director report, but I wanted to talk about some of it while it's an action item, because there might be some action that you guys want to take on this. But just to kind of summarize some things for you, there was some action that you put on me after our workshop last month, and so I talked to the Hayden Senior Center. And the Owl Cafe, as it sits today, doesn't meet their needs, which I think we expected. And they do desperately still need their own facility. They're coexisting at the Shriners out off Lancaster, and it works okay, but they can't do all of the things that they would want to do in that facility. So he said they need 8,500 to 9,000 square feet, really, to meet their needs, and they're willing to coexist. I also talked to the city recreation director, and they still have need for indoor sports courts, 4 to 5 offices for recreation staff, and multi-purpose rooms for art or dance classes or workout classes or that type of thing. So that was her thoughts, if some sort of a community or senior center is still on the table. And the Owl Cafe, as it sits, is just too small to meet any of their needs as well. Nancy Mabel at PAC, I spoke to her about, we hear about senior center and community center grants. So I wrote a section on that. So the Hayden area would not be eligible for a community center. But would be eligible for a senior center, but the maximum you can ask for in 1 year is $245,000. It doesn't necessarily go very far, and senior centers can't be combined space with like a senior or a community center. A senior center cannot be a combined space with like a community center. So I just kind of wanted, like, all these things get thrown around, so I wanted to kind of tell you what it is I'd learned. And I also talked with Donna Phillips, the community development director for the city, and she confirmed that so the Owl Cafe was a non-conforming use because it didn't meet current building codes or site development code. And so since it's been vacant for more than 1 year, it's not 2 years, it's 1 year, you would have to bring it up to code to reopen that facility. So I think that was a question too to confirm. And then another thing that Rhonda and I did is we met with a person named Mitch Silver who auctions off restaurants, large estates, that kind of thing. He came recommended by someone we know here in town, and he walked through it with us, and then he said that ultimately there's really not enough of value inside to hold like an auction of some sort, which I don't think surprises us either. But he did say that the sign, the Owl Cafe sign itself is fairly valuable. So just, we need to know that. We don't necessarily want to let something happen to that or give it away. The North Idaho Museum, Britt Thurman called, and they're interested in the sign because it is cool. And so I wanted you to know that. And then one other thing is that the daughter of who used to run the Owl Cafe, used to own it, she is really interested in, have you seen the outside of it? I can pull it up if you need. There's these metal window coverings that are shaped like an owl. She's interested in having one of those and willing to buy it or something, but she, from a nostalgic standpoint, would like to have one of those. So that's a lot, I know, for you guys, but that's what I've learned since we had our workshop. And so I wondered what you think about any of those items.
I have one thought. We have an auction company in Hayden called Auction Depot. It's on Government Way. And I would suggest we contact them to see if they would be interested in doing an auction. They auction all kinds of stuff. It's not just restaurant equipment. It's boats and cars and fishing equipment and clothing. And so I would think that it wouldn't cost anything to have them take a look at it.
Okay.
And they do get a commission. I think the commission is based on the dollar value, so it's a sliding scale. And anyway, it's local, and we got to see if they're willing.
I can certainly reach out, yes. It can't hurt. I'm not very optimistic given what the other guy said.
Well, one question I have, if we sell like surplus equipment, are we obligated as the entity to seek bids on things, or is it okay to employ a company to do that?
I don't.
We can employ a company. We can employ a company to conduct the auction. Any personal property that the city has can be disposed of basically in any manner that's in the best interest of the agency. If the property just like with the city, you just have to declare the property surplus property first by a resolution, and then you can dispose of it in whatever manner is in the best interest of the agency.
Okay, perfect.
Pete, this is Steve. There's some section in the Idaho Code when cities dispose of property requiring notice and bids and that sort of stuff. But it may have a dollar limitation or something, and we may not fall under those rules as a renewal agency. Is any of that relevant?
I'm talking about personal property. Cities only have to do the bids and publication for real property.
Okay.
Personal property, cities can just declare it. The personal property, cities just declare it. They can declare it surplus and then dispose of it however they see fit.
Thank you.
Steve, you You've already toured the Owl, I believe, correct?
Yes.
And I had an opportunity, obviously, with Melissa when we met with the auctioneer, and the items are extremely old and worn and not taken care of. So other than some nostalgia, you know, if you want a 1950 bar look, you know, down in your basement, there isn't much really to auction off to make it worthwhile with them getting a fee. So I don't know, we should talk about a salvage thing and have someone come out and salvage it for a price, or...
My sense is that what's there worked for the lady at the Owl. There's a walk-in cooler and a walk-in freezer, which are old, but if they work, they're if they are functional, that's valuable for somebody in the small restaurant business. But it's not practical to move them. The labor content doesn't make any sense. So,
and they thought they were attached to the building, like it would, like, Melissa, didn't he think the one was structurally...
He thought it could be, and so he thought it might not be able to come out until we were ready to demo the building.
yeah.
So
I think they're built into the building. The only thing that's separable, I would guess, is the compressor and the
cooler itself.
condenser and the cooling stuff.
Equipment.
But the rest of it, there's probably a big door on it with appropriate latches and safeties, but it is all old. So I think, Rhonda, after looking at it, somebody would have to use it as a labor of love, but from commercial value, I agree, it's old and tired. The other thing I guess I would suggest while we're talking about it, if there's an Owl shutter or something on the outside that the offspring wants, I mean child, but the daughter wants, I suggest we just give it to her. I don't think there's any need to sell it.
I concur with that. I was asked by a local small restaurant owner if there's any kitchen equipment in there that would be worth him taking a look at and I don't know the answer. I mean, I can just put him in contact with Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to meet me up there, he can certainly take a look.
I've never been in it. So.
The restaurant owner from the coffee shop across the street came over. He said same thing, there's just really not much.
Okay.
There's a big mixer, and it's kind of cool, but it's super old. You know, so I don't know. The guy across the street was just saying that, like, if you're running a restaurant, you kind of want new stuff that's not old like that. But if you want me to meet with someone and they can come through, there's tons of stuff like baking pans or baking sheets and trays and cups and dishes and things, but that's just not worth enough to cover the auctioneer fee.
Right.
Well, we should let the auctioneer
Chairs.
decide that. I mean, if they come in and they go, we think we can make money, let them do it.
At least to them.
Well, I agree, we should ask, actually a local guy, but if your acquaintance wants to look and we discover that the only outcome is demo, then we'll just give it to him, come get it and take it.
Yeah, I'll put him in touch with Melissa.
Yeah.
Go from there.
I'll talk to this other auction person first. The other person that we met with was also local. So.
Regarding the sign, I mean,
Yes, the sign.
even if it supposedly is worth money, I think giving the sign to the museum sounds like a good idea, as opposed to, I mean, what worth something means what? It's worth $1,000 or?
He said it's worth between $3,000 and $6,000.
Yeah.
So he thought that was like the thing that's of value on that building. So when I was talking to Donna, the community development director, she said that there's been thoughts in the past of, as that property redevelops, if it becomes something, to incorporate, then want wants it back to put on the building in the future, or in the
Loan it.
building,
We
in a
could loan it to
cafe.
the museum,
Yeah.
and, you know.
I'm personally a little
Perpetuity.
concerned if we just leave it there, that it could get vandalized
Yeah.
or something. We've had one window broken so far, so.
They have a place for it? I'm trying to think of the size.
It's,
pretty.
yeah, it's pretty big.
It's
I haven't
big.
quizzed her a ton on it yet. Wanted to see where you guys would even be at.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, if they're willing to come, especially if they're willing to come and get it, and then we could just loan it to them in perpetuity, or until, if something is built there, we could ask for it back if it's needed. If not, they can hold on to it.
I was involved in a project in Boise, which was a Beltex gas station years and years ago, and it had a big yellow triangular Beltex sign. And the property was redeveloped into office and condo. And they put the sign out in front in a little courtyard, and the building is named the Beltex building, and a lot of people remembered the symbol.
Right.
And so it was fun. It added some character to the project and to the community. So I think Donna's idea is excellent. Was
Right.
Donna Phillips, that when something happens on that site, the sign might have a role. If the city, how far away are we from taking over the Lakes Highway District facility? Is that a year?
Summer,
This summer?
I think. I'm just going, I'm involved in that Lakes Highway District project. I thought they were supposed to be done this summer sometime.
There might be a place there to store it, because it's a lot bigger than what we have now.
Oh, to have the city just store it? I don't know. I could talk to them.
Sounds like
To have a sign maker move it, because the outside sheet metal is pretty tender and can't bang into stuff that will destroy the nostalgia of the sign.
Well, and the
neon.
neon.
Yeah. I think that the museum would take care of it. I mean, as opposed to it getting chucked in the corner of a warehouse somewhere and then forgotten about.
Why don't I talk more with Britt? Because I don't think it's something we have to make a decision on right away. I just wanted to see where you guys would be at on it. Okay. And then the little owl thing, that, I mean, it's kind of incorporated into these bars that are on the window. So I think that you'd have to cut it off in some fashion. Are we fine with her doing that?
Well, Melissa,
Oh, but you would let me.
it does protect the windows from being damaged at this point. I wonder if we should wait until we're a little further along with deciding what we're going to end up doing with the building. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me. She did call me again today, so she's pretty motivated about it. But I could just tell her that we haven't decided what we're doing, and the thought is that, yes, we will allow you to have it, but for now it's kind of protecting the building.
Yep.
Does that sound good?
That's a good
Yeah.
solution. Just
That works for me.
tell her, we don't forget her, but not yet.
Okay. There's also just a bunch of owl stuff inside, you know, just paintings and stuff like that. And it didn't sound like she was interested in any of that, but if she is, do you care if she has it? Okay. Okay. I didn't think you would, but
So for the sake of, if there's sheet pans and things in there, for the sake of, if there's anything that's of value to anybody in the community, I wonder if there's a way of, if an auction company doesn't think it's worth spending a day to sell that off, I wonder if there's like a garage sale type
almost a garage
business
sale.
or a thrift store that might, you know, we have
Yeah,
a thrift
maybe
store
the-
down the street, maybe they'd be willing to
Come and pick stuff
have a
up.
one-day garage sale and advertise it and see if people in the community will just come and buy this. If it has any use to anyone, it's better.
I know, I
If we demo
know.
it, it's going to the dump.
I guess the surplus or the salvage companies, their service is basically to come take everything, like everything out. And then they do eventually resell it, but their job is to kind of just get everything out so that you can go in and basically demo the building. So I don't think, for the most part, that things would go to the dump. I mean, there might be some things that do, but
If it's not worth their time. I
Yeah.
just wonder if there might
If
be
it's
a
not- if it's
service
not
organization,
resellable.
like the thrift store down the street that might be willing to just do a garage sale, and basically have a weekend or so to sell or get rid of whatever they could get out of there.
okay, I'll
Whether it
contact
be
them.
paintings on the wall, or I know when the Gibbs Tavern closed downtown, they kind of did that, so anybody felt like anything was of value, they just came and took out the tables and chairs and everything.
Would the thought be that if they held the garage sale, they would keep the money, or?
Would it be legal for us to just,
I think, yeah, I mean,
if we can't get an auction company that thinks it's worth their time or energy to
Okay.
do it, I don't know. That would be a thought, that service organization might be able to just sell it and get a little bit out of it.
I'd rather do that than just crunch it up and haul it off to the dump.
I'd rather have a service organization try and get a little bit of money out of it than.
Okay, so how about I talk to this local auction depot company, see what they have to say, and then also talk to the local thrift store that's just right down the street, and see if they have any interest in that, and I'll just update you next month, because I don't think it's anything that's an emergency. We just eventually have to figure out what to do.
Probably not until next fall when we have to heat it.
I was gonna say, right now, I just have to stop by often enough to empty
Big
the
water.
big bucket that's, yeah, the roof leaks, so there's just a big bucket I have to go
Colin's
empty.
really skilled at that.
Huh? What?
Colin's really skilled at that. Remember, he's the one who dumped
I
the
know,
bucket.
he should go by and do it, yeah. Okay, well, that's what
Thank
I'll
you,
do.
Melissa.
Does that sound good?
I have a name for you, Melissa.
That sounds great.
At Auction Depot, his name's James.
Okay,
He's the manager. Don't know his last name.
perfect. That'll get me started. Okay, anything?
All right, Melissa, are you ready for, next on the agenda is your executive director's report.
Yeah. Let's see. So OPAs, Hayden Pickleball, I don't know anything. I might be dead for all I know. But however, Marketplace at Miles gave me their backup documentations to execute that promissory note. So that's here today to be signed. It doesn't require action by the board. So that one is moving forward. The city administrator told me that they are working on getting consultants on board to assist in expanding the HURA district. So that's continuing to move forward.
Now, so Melissa, can I ask you a question? So on the expansion, they're looking at including remind us, the expansion is what area?
It is, let's see if I can find it in my notes from last week.
had it in the packet last time.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I,
Hayden and the honeysuckle, and it also includes the
oh yeah, here it is.
Maple property.
It did. It included going down Maple, or going down Miles, and including that property at the corner of Miles and Maple. That was for
Okay.
a potential neighborhood park.
Okay.
Was there any discussion on that?
Yeah, I've done a little work on the Hanson family's appetite to sell that to the city and the timing. And the timing doesn't match. Each party is not set up to do it. We need some time for it to get annexed and then a decision on our part annexed into our district. The Hanson family is about what the city might do when the end point of that discussion was March of '24. It's now May of '24. And so
Oh.
they feel like they held off, and from what I understand, they are interested in moving on.
Oh, okay.
There's some ideas surfing around that might produce a different outcome. So what I'd like to ask our board to think about with respect to a park, and because there's been differences of opinion about what we use with our money, if the timing of a transaction on that park can be worked out to wait until we finish the district annexation process, do you all still have an interest in that parcel as a park? We talked about this in generalized terms when we were talking about Melissa's map.
Right.
The reason to extend the little flag out there, or the two arms of the H, or however you say it, based on Roger Satterfield's advocacy for that becoming a park. And we all kind of nodded our heads and said, yes, let's put it on the map. But I think the distinction I want to make is putting it on the map was one decision we made together. Another decision that I would ask you, and we can't make a decision today, but are we still interested in working on that project as a park? And it might happen in 26, if something can be arranged with the seller. Best person to wait is the seller, but I don't know whether that can be arranged or not. So what do you all think? Is your appetite for a park less, more, or the same?
I think it'd be a great thing to be able to give to the city as another park, as opposed to having it sold for development. So I would be 100% on board.
I'm in favor of helping out. I guess we'll know when and if the city council approves that to be added to the district, whether or not the city has the desire or willingness to support that as a park and to maintain it as a park, even if they were provided the land.
And there's an additional question after the land is, somebody's got to build the park,
Yeah.
or some parts of it. Yeah, that's an issue, you're right. Colin, what do you think?
I think that's a good point, Randy. I think the city voting on it will give us an indication. I would still support a park.
Okay, I'm in favor of supporting it as a park eventually.
I am too.
Okay, Matt, what do you think?
I get concerned about tax dollars and how much we have to spend. Not only would we have to acquire the property and say that HURA was able to buy the, was it 1.9 million? Is what it's appraised at?
Yeah, I told you this the other day, Rhonda. The last appraisal was 1.6, something like that, 1.68?
1.6, I believe.
Yeah.
That wasn't the first one, this is the more current one.
Oh, there's a more current one. I might not have it.
Well, I'm talking about the one that, there were two. So was it the first or the second?
I don't know. It was the one that,
Talking about the appraisals.
Yes.
the
The
former
second
city.
appraisal I've read, was done last fall.
Okay.
Appraiser's conclusion was 1.8 million, so of course that captures the attention of the property owner. But the appraisal was, choosing my words carefully, was included 4 comps. One of them was a 12-acre parcel on Hayden Lake that was Lakeview property.
Oh.
It's hard to make that a valid comp for the Hanson property. Another property in the appraisal used the valuation of the sale of finished lots with roads and streets and water and sewer out in front of the dirt. It's hard to treat that as an acceptable appraisal comp. So in general, it's easy to be critical of that appraisal. What that means, I don't know, but I don't know the basis of how the appraiser was hired, what his instructions were, or was there anybody else who read it and looked at the data? But, so So whether it's worth 1.8 million, in my mind, is, based on that appraisal, is really suspect. But that's not the table in front of us. It's, you know, I think we should parry, well, we don't know. I guess my question has to do with our board's interest in pursuing that as a park, and if the rest of the pieces of the puzzle come together, would that be of interest? And it sounds like most of us feel like it is, and there's a lot of detail to be worked out.
But like Matt said, it comes down to dollars too.
Yeah, it
And
does.
if it's money either we don't have, or we're not willing to spend on that because there's other priorities, whether it's a senior center, community center, recreational.
And so I don't think we can make any commitments at this point.
Right.
And if the city, if we gave them the land, my guess is over time, maybe another source could be found for the park work, building the park. Sometimes those things take a long time. So, but once the land is gone, it's gone forever. If you look at the Google map of the open parcels in that part of town, it's just aren't any.
Right, and it was identified in their Parks Master Plan as
Was it?
pick it up for a neighborhood park if you can.
So I have to go back to our citizens survey, which our citizens are concerned about. I think we all know traffic and congestion within the city of Hayden at these intersections. And my priority is to get those things fixed. That's what the people want. It's their money. So having a park and open space is nice, but there's a higher priority. And my priority is to fix these streets and these intersections. So say HURA buys the property, we could be looking at a couple $1 million in development into a park. And then I've had discussions with our city administrator about maintenance. Current maintenance of what we already have is stretching us. We have 16 acres out of Hayden Canyon that's been deeded to us that we already own. And there's going to be development costs, there's going to be maintenance costs on that. We have a tight budget. We've been going through the budget process of looking at what our sales tax and highway tax and liquor tax will give us, and our 3% increase if we approve that. We're looking at it. It doesn't give us much money for an increase based on inflation. So all to say is money is tight, and my priority is to fix roads. And I want to that's where I come from. Parks are nice, but fixing roads is a necessity, and the people want that.
Okay,
Well, thank you for the good discussion. I appreciate it. Melissa, what else do you have
Let me
on
see
your
if there was
executive
anything
director
else.
report?
just a second. So starting next month, we will do budget workshops. So we can do a budget workshop, and then hopefully we can have the hearing in July, just because I won't be able to be here at the August meeting. If we're not ready for it after our June meeting, then we'll just have to figure out what to do for the hearing. But we can probably do it. I don't think it took us any longer than that last year. I think that's it.
Well, thank you. Looks like that's the end of our agenda. I'd like to thank everyone for their time today and adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.